I mean, I can tell you, when I tried to eat distraction free 8 years ago, I freaking hated it because I did not like myself. I did not like my own company. I did not like feeling my feelings. And I wanted to always be busy and rushed because I didn't like my own life. So, I mean, that's. And so I want to know, does releasing the weight, losing the weight permanently feel like it would be nice to do it without all the food shame, without feeling like you have to give up what you really enjoy? Does anyone resonate with that? With somewhat? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So I want to ask you a couple of questions. Just be honest, pop it in the chat. When you think, okay, vacation's coming, or I want to be wearing a bathing suit, or I have a party I want to dress up for, I want to fit in this dress. What do you think of when you're like, I got to double down and I got to get some weight off of my body? Tell me in the chat. What's the first thing that pops to mind when you're like, okay, I gotta drop some weight? And it is urgent. Let me know in the chat. I gotta pull up the chat again. There, where did it go? There we go. All right. Deprivation. Jackie put deprivation. Oh, Susan as well, deprivation. Interesting. Okay, so that is very much the common response. Like, okay, I gotta go cut everything I like out. I gotta go on a diet. I gotta deprive. Am I gonna be able to do it? Am I gonna be hungry all the time? And so I'd love to just quickly know, what's your relationship with diets? Have you done a lot? Have you done none? Pop in the chat, like, can you relate to I've done a lot of deprivation diets where I had to really cut everything out and it worked maybe, and I lost all the weight, but then it crept back on. So just put in the chat, what's your kind of relationship to deprivation diets in the past, and how have they sort of worked out for you? Thinking of your past attempts. And I want to know, because what I want to share today is a shift in paradigms. I would say like a total 180 from what the diet industry teaches us. And so I'm just curious where you're at with the thought of dieting and how it's worked for you in the past. I know for me, I really thought it was the only way for many years. Okay, I want to look better. I want to feel better in my body. I want to lose some weight. I have to go on a diet. It was the only, and I have to exercise more. That was kind of what I always thought. I've got to go on a strict diet and I got to exercise a lot. And that was kind of my always go-to. What ended up happening for me was it wasn't sustainable. So I could grin and bear it and stick to it for a while. As soon as I got to my goal, I would usually rebound, because mentally it's impossible to stick to something so rigid for so long. Sherry has done a lot. Yeah, could do it. I could do it a long time ago, but not now. Yeah, and I want to also share, sometimes what worked for us at one point, it just won't work anymore. Our bodies resist it. Our brains resist it. Our emotions resist it. So sometimes something that worked really well for you in the past, if you try to do it again, sometimes it just plain won't work. Has anyone ever experienced that? You're like, I thought I could just do that again. And I know I've experienced that. So I want to share this kind of different approach. And one more question. Have you ever felt like, I either have to be perfect with food, empty the pantry, get all the cleanest, healthiest foods, and be perfect, avoid the cake at the party, no wine, no sugar, I have to be perfect. But then have you ever found but then I have a bad day at work and I have a glass of wine and I kind of go down a bad road, or, there's cookies at work and I decide to have one cookie and then it turns into a kind of a spiral. Does anyone resonate with that? Kind of that all or nothing thinking. So I really like to mention the most destructive belief in weight loss, in weight release, is all or nothing thinking. Yes, it works. Very small amount. if you can stick to something with enough strictness and discipline for forever, okay, sure. The problem is that's not how human beings are wired. We are wired for pleasure. And so if we try to do something that's not pleasurable for long enough, eventually the rebound happens. Is this resonating for everyone? So it's just not possible. It's like fighting an uphill battle. You're going to eventually crash. I don't know. I don't even think there's 1% of the population that can stick to a strict diet for life. And I also personally wouldn't want to. I've heard stories of like people on Food Addicts Anonymous groups, and they're like, they won't even have a taste of like their friend's soup because they're like, I don't know how many calories is in that. And that will throw me off for the day. I'm like, that is not living, in my opinion. Does anyone feel like that's like a bit too extreme? Yeah. So all or nothing thinking, how I love to explain it, put in the chat if you can relate to it, is basically that's like saying, oh, I had one Oreo. I wasn't supposed to have that. That wasn't on the plan. It wasn't a great choice. So now I might as well just have the whole sleeve. That's an example. Or, oh, I wasn't going to have chips, but I had a few chips, so I might as well finish the bag. Or I was trying to not drink wine, but now I had a glass of wine, so like I might as well polish off the bottle. It's like such an extreme like way of thinking about food. And it's the most common mindset around food. And it's, in my opinion, the most destructive. So the way I like to think of it for myself is like, Charmaine, if you say one cookie is the same as 10 cookies, that's like driving down the road and popping a tire and then taking a knife out and slashing the other 3, because it's putting you way further behind than just saying, I'm having the one cookie, I'm having the goldfish crackers, I'm having whatever, I'm going to savor it and I'm going to move forward. Is this resonating? So problem with diets, well, I've kind of talked about it. Rebound weight gain is inevitable. 95% of dieters gain back all the weight they lost from a strict diet within a year. That's the staggering stats across the board show that. It causes you to spend so much time worrying about food. What can I eat? What can't I eat? Feeling bad about food. It takes all the fun out of food. It takes all the pleasure out of food. And food is pleasure. They've done different surveys on this, but for us to feel happy in life, one of the top 5 factors is that we enjoy food. So if we take food and make it stressful and guilt-ridden and drama and a war, we're taking one of the most pleasurable activities of life and just totally desecrating it. Does this make sense? Which is so sad. And I did it for 20 years and made it such a war. And then the last thing is, it's just not, diets don't teach us how to make this sustainable. And the reason I called this whole program Forever Light is because I want you to make this a forever shift in your life so that you can feel light in your body, in your mind, in your spirit forever, for your whole life, not just for a 12-week stint, but for a lifetime. So, I know a lot about diets. I've done about 30 different diets in my life. When I was on that roller coaster, I could, weigh and measure all my food and be obsessed with calories, and I could lose weight. It would always end up the same. I would regain it. So I want to share with you, now that I use this moderation over deprivation strategy rather than diets to lose weight, to release weight, my life looks a lot different. I don't have food shame and guilt. If I go out and indulge with my friends, I wake up in the morning and my body can handle it because I'm just healthy most of the time with my food. I can savor a glass of wine and not feel like I got to polish off the bottle and not feel guilty about it. So I want to share what that strategy looks like, and in a really simple way. Does that sound cool? Okay, so you might want to take a couple notes. I distilled it down into 3 P's. I am in love with wine, Jackie. Yes. She said, you look like you're in love with the wine. It's true. Okay. So there's 3 P's to make this possible. The first P is to prioritize enjoying foods that are nutritious and delicious most of the time. I like the 80%. That works for me. I think about it. I eat nutritious and delicious foods most of the time, 80% of the time. And then 20% of the time, my body can handle the nachos, the beer, the wine, the ice cream, the things that, let's be honest, they're not the most nourishing foods on the planet. And I love them. So put in the chat, what's a food where you're like, I know this isn't so healthy for me, and I love it, and it brings me joy, and I like how it tastes. Put in the chat, what's your kind of food that you're like, I would love to be able to lose weight and eat this food once in a while without guilt, knowing my body can handle it. Yeah, bread, wine, maybe something in the past you said, oh, it's a bad food, I shouldn't have it. So I want to stop at each of these because I don't want to step over any resistance that you might be thinking like, okay, Charmaine, you're kind of oversimplifying it, or I don't know if I could do that, or that wouldn't work for me. So does anybody want to share? How does that sit for you? It's a very simplified idea. Prioritize enjoying foods that are nutritious and delicious 80% of the time. Does anybody want to share what comes up for you? Is it like, yeah, that's a cool way to look at it? Or yeah, but I have questions, or I don't even know what's nutritious and delicious, or yeah, does anybody have a question around it?